What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates ThunderCats Wave 5 review, taking a look at a figure that starts, I'm hoping starts, a new subset of the collection. We are taking a look at our first Berserker today with Captain Hammerhand. Now, he comes in, of course, standard style packaging for the line. Surprisingly, he comes in standard packaging. There are no oddballs this time around, no different sizes, no weird shapes. Everybody is in the same kind of box, despite him being rather big. Now, he does come with our bad guy slipcover, and it's still the Mum-Ra slipcover, despite him technically being in sort of a different faction. So you got the twin snakes there on the front, ThunderCats logo on the back. Pop that slipcover off, of course, and you've got the good captain there in all of his glory, in that big window with all of his accessories, and then the back of the box, as usual, gives us a bio and a big shot of artwork from Jason Edmiston to round out our packaging. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, the beginnings of our Berserkers crew, the one and only Captain Hammerhand. I'm really excited to get this guy. Mostly because, of course, it starts us another faction, but I like Hammerhand to begin with, so this is a cool figure to finally be getting us into that, I guess, area of ThunderCats. Now, this is, of course, a specific version of Captain Hammerhand because he does have at least two very distinct looks, but I think this is the one I prefer the most, so I'm kind of glad that they started off with this one. I think this is probably the one most folks do think of when they think of Hammerhand as well. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. He's pretty normal, but of course he does have some interesting asymmetry, let's put it that way. So we've got a head that can look surprisingly up. Like, honestly, that's a lot better than I ever expected. He can't really look down too much, though, because of the beard. You do have some tilt side to side. The head sits just high enough on the peg to afford some range. And then you can swivel side to side, but of course the beard and the hair are going to stop him from going all the way around. Arms out at the shoulder. Well, we're going to talk about this one first. His left, your right. Rotation. He's got a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow. It does have a little bit of shimmy there as well as rotation. You've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. And then as far as this elbow, it's not 90. It's about 90, but it's not 90. Now the big ol' arm, his Meccano arm, is different and surprisingly more articulated than I ever expected it was going to be. So arm goes out at the shoulder, rotates all the way around, bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, pretty good range for such a big old arm. And then there's rotation at the elbow too. You've got a hinge and swivel at the wrist. So up and down, it's obviously not perfect because, of course, it's a giant box on his hand, but it moves better than I expected. And then all the fingers are articulated. So the thumb is articulated, and then each individual finger has articulation. And honestly, it's pretty tight. Like, it's not, well, it's not too tight, but it is not loose by any means. And he's been able to hold, you know, weird little positions just fine with these fingers. So I'm pretty happy that they were able to do that. I did not expect any articulation in this hand. I'm not really sure why I didn't expect it, but I didn't. So that's kind of a cool surprise. Torso, we've got it's a diaphragm cut, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's another one of those. It's just basically a bobble. Then you've got your waist twist. So that's a full-on twist. Legs out. Pretty much full splits. Kick forward about that far. Kick backward a good bit as well. You do have your thigh twist up there. Single jointed knees. There is a little bit of shimmy there, but not a full rotation. This knee is also a little bit different. Obviously, there are some asymmetry size differences here, but they can both afford basically the same amount of range because they're pretty similar at the top/bottom of the knee, depending on how you're looking at it. And then down at the ankles, we've got, well, a little bit of hinge on the big one. And then you've got a little bit of rocker. Slight, but it's there. And then the regular foot, normal rocker, normal hinge, all that good stuff. There are no rotation points, no boot cuts or anything down there, which is kind of unfortunate because there is, you know, specifically spots here where it could have worked, but he doesn't have them. So otherwise, you know, outside of a few little areas where he is kind of locked down, the torso is my big one. I wish he had more ability to crunch, really. I want more of that when it comes to this line. but he's surprisingly well articulated for being so different across his hemispheres, I suppose. And then this hand, you know, despite the fact that it is, of course, still limited, he's able to do quite a bit with it. Now, aesthetically, I am really happy with HAMMERHAND. I think they did a great job translating this look into figure form. You know, again, this is a specific look because he has a very different look when he first appears. His hand is even on the other side. The Meccano hand is even on a different side. Of course, it's a very different hand here. Hopefully, they'll get to both versions, but if I had to choose, this is the version that we should get first. Again, I think it's the more recognizable one because I think he's in the show a little bit more like this, and of course this is more in line with the vintage toy. Very, very much in line with the vintage toy, so they kind of mirrored each other a little bit there. But I think he looks fantastic. There is a lot of, again, asymmetry going on with this figure. The big things are, well, quite literally going to be the hand, the foot, and then this big old weird noggin that he has. But I think in general, the figure looks pretty solid. The belt detail in particular keeps drawing my eye. Really love this particular skull. It gives me a very Captain Harlock vibe, if you know what I'm talking about there. But the paint on it looks really good. It's very clean and crisp. Again, pretty clean and crisp paint across the entirety of the figure, honestly. The only area where I think it maybe sticks out is the top of his boot here, because this, whatever color this plastic is down here, it's not yellow. So this is not molded yellow to match this yellow. So this yellow, while is very, very close, it does kind of stick out to me just a tad bit. It's not even what I would consider glaring. It's just, I can notice it kind of a thing. The rest of the figure, though, I think looks pretty fantastic. He has a very gaunt appearance, and you know, that's what he's supposed to have. He's really thin and wispy. You know, he looks really ripped with those abs, but he also looks really thin and kind of nasty too. So I'm pretty happy with the overall composition of the figure. You know, he's got, again, the big foot, the big arm, but he's got kind of spindly little legs and just, you know, normal arms. He's not exactly beefy by comparison to some of the other characters. The actual arm itself, though, I think looks fantastic, and the hand, and again, I'm still incredibly happy that they were able to implement this level of articulation in it. Being able to have articulated fingers just gives him a little bit more life and dynamic posing ability. I mean, it's just a hand, but it still changes him up quite a bit because I wasn't expecting this. So it's cool to be able to do stuff like this. Even though it's just his hand open, it's better than it being just a fist. So I'm really happy to be able to see that. It also looks good. Paint is clean and crisp. And again, you know, it gives him this really weird, boxy, asymmetrical design on his right side, your left, of course. But I think he looks pretty fantastic. Some nice shading on the arm, a little bit of shading on the torso as well. Well, on the abs down here to bring out some of that sculpted detail. And then, of course, all the yellow really pops on this guy, especially against all of that black and gray. And then we've got our head sculpt up here, which looks pretty tremendous. I think he looks like he jumped right out of the screen. You've got that weird sort of sunken red eye, and then the eye that's underneath the mask. Big bushy beard with a lot of light gray dry brushing to bring out that sculpt, and then those two sort of goofy asymmetrical horns. This man is all about not being the same on his left and right, and I think it comes through pretty well here. Colors are nice and bright and vibrant. Paint detail is very clean and crisp, and again, he just looks like he jumped right out of the screen. Very, very happy with the visuals here. Now, as far as some size comparisons go, let's just start with other Ultimates. So we've got Lion-O here on the left, we've got Monkey in here on the right to give you an idea of, you know, a good guy and, well, a different kind of bad guy. And you can see that HAMMERHAND is kind of skirting that middle of the road kind of size when it comes to this line. He's not big, he's not small really. The only thing that's really different about him is that he has a crazy big foot and a crazy big arm. So he's going to fit in pretty well with the overwhelming majority of the figures we've got thus far. And then let's just pull in some of the usual suspects for this kind of thing for me right now. So here is Black Series Cobb Vanth and Figuarts Goku for a couple of very, very different kind of lines. So you can see how he scales with, you know, more normal 112 stuff. And then let's pull Goku aside. And here is a NECA Turtle. And then one more in the same scale. How about a Mythic Legion? Here is Lord Dragul. So he's going to scale pretty well. I mean, obviously this all works because, of course, he should be taller than a lot of turtles. And then he's going to scale really nicely with pretty much your average 7-inch style figures. But he's certainly going to look big amongst a lot of Hasbro stuff, a lot of normal 112. Now, as far as accessories goes, Hammerhand doesn't, well, he doesn't have as many as Vulture Man does, for sure, but he has a decent amount. Really, and I shouldn't say this because I do love getting options when it comes to figures. Frankly, I'm probably never going to use anything he comes with because it's just about the hand. It's about the fist, the hand for me. He does come with a few ways to change up the figure, though. So to start with, we do get an extra head. It's very, very similar to the one that comes on him in the box. The difference being the mouth. So in this one, the mouth is open and he's sort of, you know, kind of yelling, piratey kind of thing, something like that. So this is the normal one. You can see it's just very stoic, but it's a very, very similar head sculpt. If anything, it's really just that mouth area that does appear to be different, but it does give you a way to change him up and give him some sort of emotive expression. And then we do actually get another fist. So this is literally a fist. We get a non-articulated set of fingers here. So this hand cannot make a fist, really. It can't go any further than that, so it's sculpted in such a way here that everything is as tight as it can be. It's not supposed to move, and it doesn't move, so all of this stuff is locked in place, but this is how you get a full fist. And then if you want to be, you know, emotive, expressive, have him, you know, grabbing a ThunderCat by the head or something, you use this hand. So I do like the fact that we have this. I don't know if it's 100% necessary because this thing gets kind of close. I mean, it's pretty close, but it's not the same. You can still see right through the hand, whereas this one, it's very, very different. He does get some other hands, though. So we've got a gripping hand on him in the box. I've swapped it out for a fist here. And then we get a open palm, sort of grippy kind of hand. And then we get this one right here, which is this really weird, like, crooked finger pointing kind of hand. So he gets 3 extra hands for a total of 4. Well, I mean, I guess he gets an extra hand because we do have 2 of the Mechano fists. And then he gets these 2 little pouches, which I believe are supposed to be full of gold, I want to say. That sounds right anyway. So you've got these 2 little pouches. And then we get a gun. It's got a lot of paint on it. Like, this thing is actually absolutely covered in paint, about 4 or 5 different colors. Sculpt is really nice. Paint is incredibly clean, just like the rest of the figure. The paint on this thing is also very clean and crisp. And of course, you know, he does have a hand that can accommodate that. That's kind of what this is for. It just looks like this really weird sort of pointy finger, which it can be used for that, but it's also going to be your gun-wielding hand as well. So, like I said, he doesn't have a ton of stuff. And honestly, this is all I'm probably ever going to be swapping out. I think I'm going to stick with the stoic head sculpt for this guy, but I like the fact that we do get the alternative hand, even if it's not the most necessary. And then, of course, he does have a few things. It's just not going to be as much as, say, well, Vulture Man. Vulture Man kind of puts everybody in this place in this particular way, but Hammerhand does have a few solid accessories to sort of round him out. And again, it's always nice to be able to just change up his expression. So yeah, overall, pretty happy with this guy. Really the only thing that I think is a negative for the figure in general is that he's another figure that has a diaphragm cut, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. It has some movement, but you're not going to use that to really pose him around or anything. It doesn't do much in terms of, you know, acting as a crunch anyway. The rest of the figure, however, does move really well. Like, he's very much exactly what he should be within the confines of Ultimates. Paint on him is really clean and crisp. Sculpt looks fantastic. You know, this guy is pretty much unique across the board as far as I can tell. And then, of course, they did a really solid job with that surprise. Well, maybe it wasn't supposed to be a surprise and I forgot, but the articulated fingers on that hand were a nice surprise to me, just not remembering, I guess, that they were going to do that. And then, of course, you do get the extra fist if you want to have that option. He doesn't have a ton of accessories, but what he has, I think, are pretty solid for this guy in particular. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super 7 Ultimates Captain Hammerhand. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.